Welcome to the Mighty Emotions podcast. I'm your host, Giselle. I'm a certified emotions coach, and I teach you how to respond better to your emotions so you can feel better in your life. My mission is to show you how to work with your emotions to become more emotionally resilient. Your emotions are not designed to overpower you, they're designed to empower you. On this podcast, I share what our emotions are, how to understand them and work with them, and the tools you need to reclaim your power and get unstuck from emotional pain so you can find fulfillment in your life again. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's get into the episode.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Mighty Emotions podcast. Today, I want to talk to you about confidence because I know it's something that a lot of us are striving for, searching for, desiring, and there's a lot of advice online. And if you are familiar with my podcast, then you know I like to dissect the nuance that's missing from the conventional advice because typically things are presented in a really black and white way. And if you have lived this long as a human being, you know that life isn't actually very black and white. There's actually a lot of nuance involved, and this isn't any different when it comes to confidence. And I personally have experienced moments in my life where I felt very confident, moments in my life where I felt less confident. And so that's the first point that I really want to make, is that confidence is not the state that we arrive at and it just remains permanent in our lives. That would be really nice. But the reality is that we will have times in our lives and chapters of our lives where we're confident, and we'll have chapters in our lives when we're not as confident. And the reason for this is because confidence is based on a couple things. And primarily it's based on having certainty. So that's kind of when we're competent about something. We're sure of ourselves. We feel like we know something. We know ourselves. We know what we're doing. We feel really competent, right? And that's a moment where we can feel confident. So certainty is one of the elements of confidence. The other element of confidence is just about the chapter of our life that we're in and how much experience we have with something. So certainty is one thing. Like we are definitive, we are sure of things, but also we have arrived at that certainty because we have experience, right? We have practiced, we have done something for a period of time, and so we know what we're talking about because we have the evidence behind it. So confidence is really a combination of certainty and evidence. At least true confidence is, right? Because there's confidence that we can perform, and then there's true confidence. And what I mean by that is we can appear confident to the outside world. We can appear sure of ourselves, even if we're not. We can seem like we have it all together, even if we don't, right? So there's external confidence that others perceive, and then there is the true internal confidence that we feel. And in my life, I've experienced both at different times, and maybe you have as well. And so I just wanted to do this episode to kind of highlight all the different ways that confidence can appear in our lives and all the different paths we can take to achieving confidence. So starting with the fake confidence, the external confidence, the performant confidence. This is when you'll hear a lot of fake it until you make it kind of rhetoric, when people will tell you, just pretend. Even if you don't feel like it, pretend, and when we think about how actors can make us really believe that they are a character, all of us have this innate ability to perform. All of us have this innate ability to act out or play out different roles in our lives. And it's no different when it comes to being confident. You can absolutely tell yourself that you're a certain character, and this is actually something that celebrities use as well, not just actors, but singers, performers. Beyonce is gone on record to say that she has this alter ego or stage persona called Sasha Fierce. And I'm sure a lot of performers kind of have this stage persona where they take on certain traits when they're in a performance. And so you might take on certain traits when you're giving a presentation at work, or when you're around your family, or when you are presenting something at school, whatever it may be. There might be different scenarios where you appear to be confident, right? Because you need to step up and give the best version of yourself in that moment. And so that's one way that we can be confident. I remember when I was first really struggling with confidence, that I would definitely do this. I would have this like alter ego, and I would say, I'm going to be like this person, right? I think it was Rihanna at the time. I think Rihanna's a lot of people's alter ego. But I want to have that persona. And so when I was at home by myself, I was not that way. And I would practice. I'd be like, what would Rihanna stand like, talk like, move like? It wasn't Rihanna, but I'm just using her as an example. And when I would go out in the world, that's how I would present myself. I would dress a certain way, I would speak a certain way, and I'd be really mindful of how I was presenting myself. So that's one way that we can present as confident, and we can have a sense of confidence, by dressing in a character, by taking on the traits of a character, if we feel like we don't have those traits as a person, right? If we don't believe that we possess those traits. And the reality is we do, because we can't bring them out of ourselves if they're not already within us. So we definitely all have that. Sometimes we do need to put on a mask, let's say, or, say, I want to be like this. I want to show up like this. I want people to see me like this. And that is how we appear confident to other people. So that's one way that you can achieve confidence for sure. And don't let anyone tell you that it's not a way. I mean, is it true confidence? No. Is it sustainable? No. But if it's for something like I said, giving a talk at work, or a very specific moment in time where you want to appear very confidently, maybe it's a job interview, then it's definitely a way to get there. But let's talk about how we can actually get true confidence. So, getting true confidence, not performative confidence, is done in a couple of ways. One, time, right? Actually, just practicing over a period of time, enhancing certain traits in yourself, developing certain traits in yourself. By developing something, like I said, we get to that state of confidence, of assurance, of I know what I'm doing, I'm certain about this. And so we can be confident, right? But that takes time, and it's a slower process. And it's about really moving through the phases of growth, right? And there's no rushing it. It's like I have to go through these phases of growth. I have to practice every day, or practice for a period of time before I feel really confident in how I'm showing up, in what I'm doing, in what I'm saying. So there's giving yourself the time and the grace and the space to do that. There's also, and this is not rushing or by any means, but it is a bit of a speeding up of the process. And this is where you look at whatever is an obstacle to your natural state of confidence. And what I mean by this is, a lot of time we're holding on to beliefs and stories and past experiences and interpretations of life that are actually obstacles to us feeling confident. And so we'll know this is happening if we are experiencing a lot of shame around something, or struggling with our self-worth, feeling low self-esteem, having a really negative view of ourselves. All of this is an indication that our confidence isn't really going to be gained through just doing things, but it's more so going to be achieved through feeling the shame that's showing up, feeling the sadness, and understanding where that was born, right? Understanding where that first came from, What happened? What did you experience? What did you hear? What were you told? And how did that leave you feeling? Because shame is one of those emotions that is born from us disconnecting from ourselves. And a lot of the times we disconnect from ourselves when we experience some kind of emotional harm. Maybe we were bullied, maybe we were put down by people we respected, maybe we were insulted, we were judged, we were criticized. And in that moment, we weren't able to process our sadness. And so we kind of disconnected from our true essence, from our true value. And from that place, shame is typically born, because that's the space where we forget who we are and we forget that we are inherently worthy and valuable. And that leads us to develop all kinds of stories and have all kinds of feelings around why we're not worth something, why we're not worth showing up, why we're not good enough, right? And that is what contributes to us not feeling confident, because we're assuming that people are going to judge us. We're assuming that people are going to criticize us because we decided when it happened sometime in the past that we were deserving of it. And that's false, right? That's absolutely false. So, going back to that moment, revisiting the past in that way from the space that you are at in the present, and recognizing that, yes, that was a moment of disconnection. Yes, that was a moment where sadness appeared, and it was a moment where you needed to reach out and get support, and where you needed to remember your worth and reconnect to yourself, but you didn't. And that's okay, because we do the best we can with what we know at the time. But what's important to remember is that if there's any kind of shame there, then that is a story that needs to be released. That is a moment where we need to change our relationship to that past experience by identifying that the people that criticize us are not a representation of all people, and that we're preventing ourselves from really showing up authentically and really shining because some specific person or persons in our past hurt our feelings. And there's nothing wrong with someone having hurt your feelings. It's about remembering that they, again, do not represent all people. And that if you treat that experience as a standard, right? If you make that experience the standard for you, if you say, okay, those people teased me, all people are going to tease me, or people that are like that or have certain traits like that, they're going to tease me. You prevent yourself from collecting evidence that that isn't the only truth. That's one reality, but that's not the ultimate truth. There are going to be so many people that celebrate you, people that even look similar to the people that hurt you or have similar traits to them. There are so many people that are going to support you and, be kind to you. And so it's about processing that experience fully, right? Processing that, moving through that, so that you can collect new experiences, different experiences, experiences that show you that there are multiple different ways that we can be in relationship to others. And the more we do this, the more we process our shame and we process our sadness, the more we can have our innate confidence come to the surface because we're okay with who we are. And our authenticity can shine because we feel safe to do so, right? So knowing that we can fake confidence, absolutely. And sometimes we need to, right? Sometimes we need to appear confident, more confident than we feel. Confidence is also achieved from just giving ourselves practice and time and collecting experience and getting really comfortable with things. But confidence is also achieved from letting our authenticity flow, letting ourselves shine, letting who we truly are be okay, be enough, and knowing that we're valuable. And the way that we achieve that is to make peace with our past and to heal our shame, to heal our sadness, to heal those emotional blocks that are keeping us disempowered, and know that we can return to the truth, we can collect new evidence, we can have new experiences. And doing this doesn't negate what happened. It doesn't mean that everyone will be kind to us. But it's just about not having this very black or white view of the world, right? This is all about the both and of life. Because when we can hold the nuance and we can hold space for the nuance of it all, that is when we have our needs met. That is when we can feel confident and assured and safe, and we can go out into the world and we can be happy, right? We can be joyful. We can be free and liberated and autonomous because we're not allowing the past to block us from that innate confidence. Like, who we are is an ongoing thing. We're co creating all the time, but often who we're being right now is only a version of us based on something that happened to us a long time ago. And so it's important to remember that if shame is showing up, if sadness is showing up, if you're struggling with low self-worth and lack of confidence, that you can do the actions and the external actions and you can practice and you can do all of that. But a huge chunk of it, a huge part of it is actually processing your shame and processing your sadness. And that is going to bring you so much freedom and so much peace and so much true self-confidence because you're going to know yourself and you're going to see yourself as God sees you, as the universe sees you, in a loving way, in a beautiful way. So with that, if you are someone who's interested in learning how to process your sadness and shame, then I'm going to link in the description of this podcast my book, Outrunning Your Emotions. In part 2 of the book, I break down for you how to process sadness, how to process shame, how to get your needs met in part 3. And there's a really great exercise in part 3 for self-love and self-worth. So definitely grab the book. It's not a very long book. It's pretty succinct and to the point, and you're just getting the takeaways that you need. And I've also included a fictional story that I really love this part about part 2 because by reading it, you get to understand, put yourself in the character's shoes and see how she processes her sadness and her shame. And by doing so, you're able to see how much easier it is than you would think. It's a lot easier than we think. So give yourself grace, give yourself permission to feel all of those feelings and to move through all of that. Read the book and it will help you, it will empower you. It really will help you to feel a lot more confident in your ability to process what you're feeling, to master your discomfort. And I hope that you see that there isn't just one way to be confident. At the end of the day, there's many paths to it. And there's moments in our life where we'll be confident and moments where we won't be. And so it's just important to know if we're in a moment where we're not feeling confident, that there are ways to get back to that. So with that, thank you so much for listening. I hope that you grab the book, that you read it. If you do, please leave a review and reach out to me on Instagram and let me know at mighty_emotions. I would love to hear your feedback on it. If you have any questions, I'm always happy to answer them. And with that, I wish you a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you for listening, and I'll speak to you on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. It would mean so much if you could subscribe, leave a review, share with your friends and family, and let me know what you think by going to my Instagram at mighty_emotions and connecting with me and letting me know what you loved about today's episode. It really means a lot that you support this podcast, and I love coming to you each week with a new episode. So be sure to subscribe, let me know what you think, and take care of yourself.